Hi, my name is Emily Smith. I work at Wyoming Tree Service and I'm here to teach you about how to plant a tree. So one of the main things when you are planting a new tree is you want to make sure that you pick the proper site location. So when you're looking into the site, you want to make sure you're not around any hydro lines. You don't want to be around a house because when it grows out later, you want to think of for the future. So you want to think of in 50 years, 60 years where this tree will be and how it's going to grow and how it's going to grow over or into anything. So that being said, it could be a house or a shed, garage, hydro lines, anything like that. You want to make sure that you have enough distance away from everything. After you've picked your site location, then you can start planting your tree. Now here I'm going to have Jerry come in and help me, and we're going to show you exactly how to plant this tree properly. So once you have picked out your location and then you have your tree, you're going to have to pick a spot and pick a hole. When you dig your hole, you need to be at least 2 times the width of the tree, as well as deep enough just so that you can have the root flare of the tree at level height with the ground. So we have that down here, and then we have mixed up the soil that we have on the side just to make it easy enough for us to mix it with the soil that's within the tree. So now we're going to actually take the tree out of the pot. So when we do that, you want to make sure, if you can do it in the hole, it's much easier, so you keep everything that's any soil or anything in the hole. You also want to make sure if you have it, like this one is wrapped as well, you want to try and get all that wrap out if you can. Once you have it all out of the pot and in your hole, you're going to want to rough up the roots and get all this extra dirt out and everything that you can. You also want to loosen up these roots to make sure that they're not going in a spiral direction. They'll succeed more if they go out in the far direction rather than going straight down into the ground. They'll get more nutrients, water, anything that they need to grow. Once you're ready to start filling in the hole with the rest of the soil, you want to make sure that you put your tree in the proper direction. So you need to think about these branches and which direction they're going to grow once the tree gets older. You want to make sure that they're leading away from any tree and other trees, other houses, power lines, anything of that sort. And you want to make sure that it's standing as straight as possible. Once you start putting in the soil, you want to mix it with the soil that was in the ground with the soil that the tree came in that was in the pot. All right, as you're doing this, you want to make sure you pat it down, not enough so that it's really compact, but enough that it won't leave any major air pockets or anything into it. The really good way to determine that is if you take the soil, squeeze it just a little bit as tight as you would compact it into the ground, and try and put your finger through it. That just shows that's how the roots can go through it. When you are filling the hole with the soil that you have left from the hole that you already dug, you want to make sure that you can see the root flare. So that's where the roots just start to come out. You don't want to make sure that you are a couple inches above it. You want to be just level with that as well as the top of the ground so it's flush. So we want to make sure that it's just right above it and level, and then all the roots are covered, but it's not creating a dome around it or like a volcano-like structure. Now you can make sure that you prune the little branches on the tree that you need to allow it to grow properly in the right form as well as the right direction that you need. So one of the first ones, so these two I have here, one's growing out this way, and then I have one growing out towards the house that's behind us. So once that gets big, it's going to be a hazard and it'll have to get trimmed anyway. So it's easier for me and easier on the tree to take it away right now. So the first one I'm going to take away is this smaller one. You want to make sure that it's not a flush cut, because then it'll make it harder for the tree to heal itself and it'll create a cavity. If you leave a little bit of a nub, it'll allow the tree to compartmentalize, which is essentially the same thing as us healing over one of our, like a scab on one of our wounds. So what you want to do is just leave it out a little bit and just cut it so there's a little nub left, but yet it's a clean cut. When you're planting young trees, another good idea is to put a stake in it as well as a cable with hosing on it. That'll just allow it to gear it in the right direction to grow, so it won't be growing on a lean, and if it's influenced by heavy winds, it just keeps it in place and it'll give it the leeway room it needs to move freely, but it'll also just make sure it gears it in the right direction for growth. So once you have your tree planted, it's straight, it's firm in the ground, your soil is packed down enough but not too much, and you have your stake in it so it's nice and tight but also loose enough that it can still move, it's time to put the mulch on it. You want to put a nice even layer. 2 to 3 inches is preferred. You can even go 4, but 2 to 3 is the main distance and the width that you would like. So when you're doing it, you also want to make sure that you're not making a dome over the base of the tree. So when you do that, so usually you see a lot of this. That isn't good because it'll make the tree grow up higher into the ground, and that can cause girdling roots. So what you want to do is make sure it's level and even with the ground, and there isn't a huge barrier around the base. After you've done everything with your tree, you have it standing still, it's attached to the stake, and you've all your mulch put down. So you want to make sure that you water it every week at least 1 or 2 times, if not every single day, given that we haven't had major rains or it's weather dependent. But you just want to make sure that the soil is always moist so that the roots are able to continue to grow and get the nutrients that they need. So we went over in summary how to plant a tree. So that begins with picking your location, making sure it's away from houses, lines, anything like that, to making sure that you adjust the roots in the base of the pot of the tree. And we also went over how to properly fill the hole with the remaining soil that we have to make sure it's not too compact, but yet not too loose at the same time. And then finally to putting on the mulch on the top layer, as well as watering it in the end. And I'm Emily from Wyoming Tree Service, and this is how to plant a tree. Thanks for watching.